Friends, happy Monday. This is episode 3 of the Legend Caller Squad podcast. I'm your host, Kaylee Payton, aka Teacher of Finances. And today I wanted to talk to you about the power of a mindset transformation. I did episode 2, and one thing that I'm going to do a little bit different with my podcast is some of the podcasts will be hosted live on Facebook, but some will just be on my platform. So you got to go follow my podcast platforms. Check it out. Episode 2 was released last week. And this is episode 3. Today, I just wanted to talk about transforming your mindset for success and why it's so important and how we think about ourselves and how that really and like it affects the way we act. And it sounds kind of crazy. It may even sound a little cliche, but literally, how you think about yourself determines how you act. And how you act in turn determines how other people react to you. So, some of the things that I've been doing, and I talk about it, is I listen to podcasts of other people, of course. I read books, I do different types of personal development, and I try to do that on a daily basis. Now, don't get me wrong, life happens and I don't always get to it. And that is something I am focusing on and being more consistent in, because I do try to be consistent in everything I do, but sometimes I don't get to read as much as I like. And so I've made it a priority to get back into reading. And I just started a new book. It's called The Greatest You. It's by Trent Shelton. If you followed me for a while, you know Trent Shelton is probably my number one go to when it comes to mindset, personal development. And so I'm reading his very first book. He's actually published a new one that's coming out in January. And so I wanted to go back and start from the beginning. And in that book, he talks about 4 of the biggest obstacles people face are addictions, your past, failures, and opinions. And that really hit close to home for me, because I know that though there's 3 of 4 things that I struggle with. And I know that other people struggle with those too. And sometimes people struggle with all 4 of them. But really and truly, all 4 of these go hand in hand in how you think about yourself. And the first thing that you have to stop and remember is that you are important. You have a purpose. There is a vision for your life, and you have to understand your vision, and you have to understand that you were placed on this earth for a reason. So it's important to feel important, right? But the look is important as well. Because if you look like you feel good, then other people are going to think that you feel good. And so there's this thing called the mindset action reaction loop. Tongue twister, right? But it all starts with how you think. Your thoughts shape your actions, which in turn they dictate how others react to you. And so there may be times that you're really feeling down on yourself and you keep thinking, why in the world are people acting that way to me? Well, what energy are you putting off about yourself? What is the presence that you're putting out to people, and why are they reacting that way? They're reacting that way because that's the energy you're putting off. And so whenever people are facing these 4 different areas, we get so wrapped up in them that we don't realize that that energy that we're putting into worrying about those things is what the energy people are getting from us. So like I said, all 4 of those go hand in hand in how you think about yourself. So maybe you're fighting an addiction, and that's okay if you're fighting it. That's the start. You have to start fighting it. You have to start trying to break that addiction. Remember that addiction doesn't have to be your identity. You have to believe in yourself. You have to know that you can do better. You have to start believing that this addiction is not going to control your life. That with that addiction, you can put an end to it. And is it going to be something that you have to fight all the time? Of course. But you can stop that. You can make a change. Maybe you're facing your past, and facing the past can be very difficult. But again, you have to tell yourself that your past does not determine your future. Your past is not your today, and your past is not your tomorrow. It's over. Move on, accept it, grow from it, learn from it. The first step to facing your past is accepting it. And when you accept your past and you realize that that's something that you cannot change, and that's something that you just have to grasp and know that that's part of who you are, but that doesn't make your identity today. Understand that. Your past, yes, has shaped you to be the person you are today, but that's not your identity. That's not something you have to live in forever. You can change today. You can change tomorrow. If you woke up today, then you have that opportunity to change today. Number 3, your failures. So, what would life be like if we didn't fail? I mean, life would be easy, right? And everybody knows life's not easy. Even the most successful people fail. Your failures can be your biggest moments of growth, And typically, if you are able to work through that failure, there's usually something bigger on the other side of it. When you start using your failures as lessons and building blocks to grow, then you open up new opportunities to bigger things. You're just allowing your mind to expand. You're allowing your mind to see, okay, I messed up, but how do I fix that? The problem that people run into with failures is the fact that they act like it didn't happen, and that you can't do that. You can't act like that the failure didn't happen. When you ignore the failure, then guess what? It's going to happen again. So you have to embrace the fact that you failed, pick yourself up, and understand what can you learn from it and how can you keep moving forward. The fourth point was opinions. So yes, opinions matter, but how much do you waste? Like, how much time do you waste on other people's opinions? You have to stop and take opinions for what they are and who they're coming from. Is it really important? And most importantly, is it really true? Most opinions that bother us the most are going to be the negative ones, right? So we have to think about the opinions that are dragging us down are the hardest ones that actually serve no purpose and typically aren't even true. So the ones we think about, the things that people say about us that we know in our heart, like, that's not true. That's not me. That's not who I am, right? But we let it bother us. We let it build up this worry. We let it build up this anxiety, when really and truly we need to step back from the situation and think about, who's saying that about me? Does that person's opinion truly matter? You have to place the opinion for what it is and like place it in your life of where does it really need to stand. Okay, that person doesn't like me, but they don't like me because I'm doing things that they aren't doing. Not really going to worry about that, right? So you have to really think about opinions, but scale them. Like, where are they going to, like, where do they really stand? Does that person's opinion really matter to me? And once you can identify all those areas, now you have to start with affirmations and self-belief. So the importance of recognizing your self-worth and purpose in life is massive. You have to embrace the idea that looking important can help you think and feel important. And when I say look important, I'm not saying you have to go out there and buy Louis Vuitton everything. What I'm saying is you have to find a look that makes you feel good. If you're in the professional world, if you're not dressing professional, how does that make you feel? If you are doing something and you go to an event at your, maybe you go to an event for your kids and it's at school, and you have a particular role that you work in, but you're not looking up to par, it may make you feel bad about yourself. Think about what you put on, what energy you're putting off, and how it's affecting the people around you. So you have to dive into the power of personalization, daily affirmations to boost your self-esteem and motivation. So by doing that, you can do self-talk, which leads into my next conversation. So when you start to do self-talk, you're going to notice a different level of confidence in yourself. Okay. So repetition in self-talk gradually transforms your self-perception. What you believe about yourself is what people are going to think about you. And that's, like I said, it sounds cliche, but it is what it is. Think about the little kid at school that wears sagging pants, maybe has on some sort of shirt that has not the best message. Teachers are instantly going to look at that kid and think, oh no, he's a troubled kid. But really and truly, he may have a good heart and he may have a lot of potential, but because of what he's wearing, it's making people think different things about him. And then that gives him that stereotype. And then now that stereotype becomes his identity. And that happens to us at a young age. We do certain things at young ages and we identify this stereotype on our life, and then that becomes our identity. And that's the point of what I wanted to talk to you about today. You can make your identity. You can be the person you want to be, but you're going to have to do certain things to transform your mind. So your appearance, your job satisfaction, surrounding yourself with other maybe successful conversations. What conversations do you have out and about? Are they actually meaningful? Do they do something for you? Or are they things that just make you feel negative? If you're being put in situations where you're constantly feeling like every time you have a conversation with someone, when you walk away, you feel like you were up here and now your level of energy is down there. Maybe you need to evaluate what the conversations you're having with that person. Maybe that person is a Debbie Downer. And if they are, instead of just saying, hey, I'm not talking to you, change the conversation, change the things that you talk about. And then if they continue to keep being Debbie Downers, that's when you need to evaluate, okay, maybe I don't need to associate with that person. Build a successful personalized commercial to say to yourself every day. What do I mean by that? I'm going to give you an example. Give yourself something to say to yourself every day that's going to boost your confidence. So, for example, this comes from The Magic of Thinking Big by Ed Schwartz. He explains how to build a commercial. So, if this were for myself, I would say, Kaylee, you believe in happiness, progress, and prosperity. So, talk only happiness, talk only progress, talk only prosperity. You have lots of motivation, Kaylee, lots of drive. So put that drive and motivation to work. Nothing can stop you now, Kaylee. Nothing. Kaylee, you're outgoing. Let that shine through you. Kaylee, you look good. You feel good. Keep it that way. Kaylee Payton, you're a great person yesterday, and you're going to be an even greater person today. Now go to it. Keep pushing. Use that. Make yourself a script, put it in your purse, put it on your phone, put it on the background of your phone as your screensaver. I don't care what you do with it, but make yourself something that you can look at every day and say it to yourself over and over again until you start to believe it. Because over time, you're going to learn that you don't have to say it as often because it starts to become engraved in your brain, in your mind, in your personality, and you start to believe it. So many times we are our worst critics. And that's fine if you criticize yourself. But how many times are you criticizing yourself over things that really are irrelevant? Okay, maybe you did something you wish you would have done differently. So say that, put it in your head, and then keep moving forward. But as much as you have to be your biggest critic, you also have to be your biggest fan. You have to believe that you are capable of doing great things. You have to believe that you have what it takes to achieve your goals. You have what it takes to achieve success. And when you start doing these daily talks and these self affirmations, you're going to believe it. And then you're going to start to transform your mind to feel the way that you're saying about yourself. Here's a couple other things to do in situations. Ask yourself these questions when you're going through a situation. When you start to worry, ask yourself, would an important person worry about this? Would the person that I want to be or the person that I look up to, do they worry about this? Would the most successful person I know be disturbed by this? When you have an idea, think about it. What would an person do if they had this idea? I talked about ideas the other day. I talked about going for it whenever a new opportunity exists and saying yes. So if you have a great idea that comes through your mind, what are you doing with it? Are you acting upon it, or are you just letting it go in your mind and then you're just putting it in the back of your brain? So every time you have an idea that you feel like maybe a really great idea, maybe it's an idea that could potentially transform your life, think about, what would an important person do if they had this idea? Okay, your appearance. Do you look like someone who wants to maximize self-respect? Your appearance is going to open up the doors to respect. Do you have self-respect? Are you portraying yourself as a person that respects yourself? That's huge. Are you putting yourself together in a way that shows I respect who I am? I'm happy with who I am. I love myself. When you're talking about your language and the things you're saying and the things you're doing, I talked about this a second ago, kind of with conversations. Are you using language of successful people? If you want to be a successful person, what type of language are you using? Or are you always using things that tends to be negative? Do you use phrases that are negative when you're in a situation? Oh, nothing ever works out for me. Or, man, that didn't work out for me. What can I do to fix it next time? What type of language are you saying to yourself? What are you reading? And if you are reading, ask yourself the same thing. Would an important person read this? Is this material I'm reading relevant to what I need to be doing in my life? In your daily conversations, is this something successful people discuss? If it's not, then retrain your brain and talk about things that what you believe successful people discuss. At the end of the day, we all want to be successful people. We all want to leave a legacy. We all want to become the legends that we're supposed to be. And these are the types of questions that you have to ask yourself and go through every day as you're transforming your mind to be the successful person that you know you need to be and should be in this life. When you start to lose your temper, ask that question to yourself. Okay, the person that I want to be, if I were that person, would they get mad at what I'm mad about? Is it really relevant for me to be mad about this? Or should I handle the situation differently? Are you telling jokes that maybe an important person shouldn't be telling? So, is this the kind of joke an important person would tell? What does that joke portray about you? I mean, jokes are jokes, right? But there are certain jokes that are not quite appropriate for somebody that is trying to be something or trying to have a certain role, or maybe there's a certain type of job you want and you have to have a certain personality. Or I was a teacher for many years, and there was certain things that as a teacher I was not actually able to do. And I'll tell you a funny story. Colton and I went to Coyote Ugly bar in Oklahoma City for our anniversary. Our anniversary was on like a Tuesday or Wednesday night. Maybe it was a Thursday. I don't know. It wasn't a big night. It wasn't a big bar night, right? And we went downtown Oklahoma City, Bricktown. We went and ate our favorite Mexican restaurant. And then we were just walking, like strolling up and down the streets of Bricktown, and Coyote Ugly happened to be open. So we were like, okay, let's go check it out. We've never been. So we went in there, and y'all, they were trying to get me to get up on the bar. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, I'm not. And they kept, like, I'm not gonna say harassing, but you know how it is. They're like, come on, get up here. And keep in mind, there was like 7 people in there because this is a weeknight, and we just were enjoying ourselves with no kids. And so we went in, and they kept trying to get me on top of the bar. And I was like, no, I'm not. So finally, Colton said, look, my wife is a teacher. She's not getting on the bar. But that's what I'm getting at, is so the actions that you make, the things you do, they follow you. So are you telling jokes that are not relevant to who you want to be as a person? Think about your job. How does an important person describe their job? How do you describe your job? If you love your job, are you explaining that to people, or are you only talking about the negative things about your job? So use all of these questions every day to make yourself a bigger, more successful person. And success for you is different based on you. What success for you is probably different than success for your parents, or success in your eyes, I'm sure, is different than success for myself in my eyes, and that's fine. But my point is, with these questions, use them to help you grow as an individual. Use them to help you become the best version of you. Remember that your appearance talks, whether it's the words coming out of your mouth, the energy you're putting off, the actions that you're, acting out in public. But believe and love what you do. If you don't, then you need to reconsider what you're doing. If you do not believe and love what you do, then think about if that's the life that you really want to be living. Don't forget, give yourself a pep talk every single day. In all situations, ask yourself, is this the way an important person? I love that, chemist. Visualize the person that you want to be and become that person. Does what habits does that person have, and implement those habits now? Exactly. You have to speak it into existence. You have to manifest the life you want, manifest the person you want to be. And when you start to believe it, other people are going to believe it. So, as we wrap up today's episode, remember that you have the power to transform your mindset and your life. Start incorporating these principles into your daily routines and watch how your self belief and success soars. Thank you so much for joining me today on our self improvement. I love bringing mindset tips to you. I love just talking about the power of the mind and the way that you can grow your life. Of course, stay tuned for more episodes. They're going to be coming at you like crazy. Some of them are going to be on Facebook, some of them aren't. And just remember that you are important, you have a purpose, and you can achieve greatness. If you found today's episode valuable, please like, share, subscribe, and share it with anyone else that could benefit from a mindset makeover. And as always, stay connected with me on social media at the Teacher of Finances for more inspiring content. And until next time, keep believing in yourself and keep striving for success. See ya.